Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought, of course, that I would review this little video by that of AKHi TV because I have no doubt about it that AKHi TV more than likely is going to say that this fight was a robbery. And I'm probably going to review another video later on because, of course, by that of the LDBC and new media narratives, they're going to push a lot overall of the, oh, we told you Tyson Fury was never that good in the first place. And I promise you that they're also probably going to say, see, Tyson Fury was not allowed to cheat in this fight. That's why he looked so bad against an MMA fighter. They're going to push a lot of narratives. But in all seriousness as well, Tyson Fury certainly did not put on a very good performance. In fact, to be quite honest with you, it really was a horrid performance for someone who's supposed to be the greatest heavyweight boxer and certainly within my top five pound for pound within the world of boxing. Do I think that he underestimated Ngannou? Yes, I do. But I still thought that Fury could have done a little bit more. But it was very obvious that Fury very clearly could feel Francis Ngannou's power and that he was a little bit tentative of throwing at times. So I have to give Ngannou a lot of credit here. But anyways, let's see what Mr. AKHi TV has to say. I'm gonna bet my house on Aki saying that this fight was an alleged robbery because we all know when it comes to certain fighters that he does not like when they end up winning certain close fights. He likes to call it a robbery. But then when certain fighters end up winning close fights that he likes, then it's perfectly okay. But just thought that I had to view this video. I thought it'd be very interesting. But anyways, let's get straight into it.
Congratulations to Tyson Fury for winning via a robbery tonight against
AKHi TV is so easy to read, man. This dude is like a book.
Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou didn't just beat Tyson Fury. He even knocked him down.
Well, no, he didn't beat Tyson Fury, but he did knock him down. And let me tell you what, he was very close to beating that of Tyson Fury. And let me tell you what, if you did have Ngannou winning this fight, let's just say by 1 point or something like that, I can't really get too mad at that. I can't really get too mad at that scorecard because there was a couple swing rounds. Well, once again, my scorecard, the first round I clearly gave to Tyson Fury. Second round I gave to Tyson Fury, but that was a very close round. Third round clearly went to Ngannou. But then the fourth, fifth, and sixth round, those all went to Fury, in my opinion, a little bit more clearly when it came down to it. And then, of course, I believe in the seventh round, I gave it to Ngannou. Eighth round, of course, it was going to Fury. Fury was actually having the most intelligent round of that fight in the seventh round, the eighth round, and it looked like he was going to start to pull away. But then all of a sudden, I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm not sure if Ngannou hit him with something, or if Fury just got a bit tired, or maybe he was just staying inside the range a bit too long. I don't know what was going on, but he was like coming right at Francis and basically just leaning in the pocket, letting Francis Ngannou land a whole bunch of punches. And he was very lucky that Ngannou did not, knock him down there. But then the ninth round I clearly gave to Fury. And then the 10th round, some may give it to Fury, but I gave it to Ngannou. So this was an extremely close fight.
Boxed him to win this fight.
Who knew that Francis Ngannou would give Tyson Fury 10 times more the fight than Deontay Wilder would do overall, at least in 2 out of 3 of the fights.
However, he ended up getting robbed in the process. Coming into the fight, no one predicted that Francis Ngannou can outbox Tyson Fury. Anyone that was crazy enough or bold enough to pick Francis...
Well, he can't outbox Tyson Fury to the full completion, and I think that if Tyson Fury probably didn't underestimate him, and I'm guessing that he probably did, because Fury after the fight, he certainly said, no, that certainly is not what I was expecting. He was a lot better than what I once saw that he was. I think Fury would more than likely take the rematch a lot more seriously and that he would be in even better physical shape and conditioning than what he was in this fight. I think Tyson Fury trained, but I don't think that he took it as seriously as what he did against Deontay Wilder or against some of the other fighters that he's fought in his career. Just my personal view. But, Fury definitely had some problems with Ngannou. But, whether Ngannou, no matter what ends up happening in the rematch, I still have to give Ngannou a lot of credit.
Ngannou said he was going to win by knockout in the early rounds by catching Tyson Fury early. However, Francis Ngannou shocked the world by dropping Tyson Fury and outboxing him.
Yes, and Tyson Fury did not look for the over-the-top hook from that of Francis Ngannou. And on top of that, once again, Fury needs to keep at least one hand up at times. He has a little bit of a bad habit of that, even in the Deontay Wilder fights.
To win the fight. But again, since Tyson Fury has the complexion for the connection to get the ultimate protection.
AKHi is something else, man.
They obviously gave him the win. I mean, we talking about a guy who took steroids and old media covered up for him. We talking about a guy who tampered with his gloves allegedly, and
well, no, he really didn't tamper with his gloves. But these guys have been trying to use that for a very, very long time, and pretty much the allegations that I knew that they were going to use, they're using every single one as a full force. Because they were quiet on Fury for a little bit because they knew they couldn't really say anything on him. But, every time that a fighter or an athlete is not having a good point or a down point, that's when all the guys or that's when all the haters will come out of the woodwork. And these guys, they don't like Tyson Fury. They haven't, especially ever since he beat their boy, Deontay Wilder. It just is what it is. And they're very pissed off at that. All right, they cannot handle that loss.
Media also covered up for him again. Nevertheless, the champion of the world is Francis Ngannou. That's it, that's all. They can rob him all they want to keep their agenda going, but Tyson Fury already got embarrassed anyways.
I certainly will agree. Tyson Fury, it was a very embarrassing performance, whether you thought he won or lost the fight. I thought that he won the fight, and I think that even 7 rounds to 3 would have been acceptable. One of the judges, I believe, scored it 7 rounds to 3 for Tyson Fury. I personally scored it 6 rounds to 4, but of course the knockdown that that Ngannou had over Fury, it made it a little bit closer. Almost like that of, I really don't know how to compare it, but when it comes down to it, it made it a little bit closer than what it probably needed to be.
UFC fighter that never boxed before beat him. Drop him.
Well, Ngannou apparently overall has been in boxing before, but once again, a lot of MMA fighters, they participated in boxing at one point in time. It doesn't mean that they're going to beat the greatest of a generation. And Fury is the greatest heavyweight of his generation. Even Fury out of shape a little bit, and even Fury not taking this fight as seriously. I got to give Ngannou a lot of credit. He gave Fury everything he could handle.
And go the full distance with him. This is a win-win for Francis Ngannou anyways, since we all know, if this fight was in the UFC, the fight wouldn't have even lasted 1 round. I mean, the fact that one judge had Francis Ngannou winning the fight tells you everything you need to know. This is how you know Francis Ngannou really won the fight. Even Tyson Fury knew it. That's why in the last round, Tyson Fury intentionally threw an illegal elbow, trying to knock out Francis.
Yeah, I seen something overall about an elbow, I believe, on the replay. Unfortunately, I did not get to see it. I wasn't sure if he threw it intentionally or if he did it on accident. I would have to rewatch it. That referee, by the way, I was not a big fan of the way that he was performing. It did not appear that he was addressing a lot of the things that either fighter was doing. I thought that there were some shots that Ngannou was landing behind the head at times, or maybe that even Fury was landing behind the head. I don't think that he addressed either of that. There were certain times overall where other things were happening. I also thought that he was splitting them up a little bit too much, just in my personal view. But, I don't even have as much of a big problem with that. But this referee he wasn't really calling a whole lot.
Ngannou. Tyson Fury was so
And of course, if he did see that elbow, he certainly didn't call it once again. I would have to see if that was on purpose.
Desperate because he knew he lost the fight. He tried to win the fight illegally. He landed the elbow and everything. However, Francis Ngannou ate it for dinner. So congratulations.
I do have to give Francis Ngannou a lot of credit. That dude has a jaw on him. No doubt about it.
To Tyson Fury for receiving an early Christmas present. More importantly, congratulations to the heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, for winning tonight and getting robbed in the process. Drop your thoughts in the comment section.
You can hear the amount of anger behind AKHi TV's voice because they hate Tyson Fury with a burning passion, and this is why you cannot trust anything that the LDBC and new media says. because they're so biased and they have such a victim mentality when it comes down to it, and they're so emotional that anything they're going to say is going to come from a racial perspective first. All right? So it is what it is. All right? That's why, once again, when it comes to close fights, oh, well, we can't count Canelo's win over Golovkin, or we can't count Pacquiao's wins over Juan Manuel Marquez, or, oh, this is a robbery. But then when it comes to Lomachenko versus Haney, they have no problem with that decision. When it comes to Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, they have no problem with that decision. When it comes to Castano, and Jermell Charlo, with that being a draw, they have no problem with that decision. Or Wilder versus Fury, they have no problem with that being a draw. So once again, that goes to show you, and that's not me saying in some of those fights that those fighters did not deserve to win the fights, like Ward versus Kovalev, for example, or Haney versus Lomachenko, but once again, when it comes down to it, it goes to show you what their true motivations are.
Below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of AKHi TV. Peace out.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. I just thought that was very interesting. Pretty much AKHi TV said everything that I knew he was going to say when it came down to it. The only thing that does interest me is that elbow, though. I would have to see what round that was in, because if Fury, of course, did end up throwing that. That certainly was a very dirty and low move, if he did do it on purpose. If he did. But sometimes elbows do land, and they're not on purpose. But I would have to see. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for AKHi TV. I'm not sure if this is going to be it, or if I'm going to review another video. But let's see what else I can find. Anyways, peace out for now. Let's try to make a part 2 on this. Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully y'all are having a wonderful day today. So this is going to be part 2 of the was Francis Ngannou robbed against that of Tyson Fury narrative. And I was going to review that at Boxing Ego or Dante's Boxing Nation. And I still might review Dante. I'm not quite sure. But, I'm not going to put Boxing Ego in there because the video would have just been too long. But pretty much like I predicted, the LDBC and New Media, which, like I've always said, is a pro-black cult. When it comes down to it, they are a pro-racial cult when it comes down to it. If you truly know what you're watching, they're going to have a field day with this because, of course, Fury, he is a undefeated great heavyweight of his era. And, of course, he didn't look good tonight, which was a little bit of a shock to me as well. But I don't think that he took Francis probably as seriously as what he could have. I think that he thought that he was going to be a lot easier. And once he realized that Ngannou actually had a game plan, and that on top of that, Ngannou, that the power level was real, and that overall that he was a little bit better than what he once thought, Fury knew that he was in a little bit in for it, that he was in a little bit of trouble, but it is what it is. But anyways, CHAMPSIDE is going to kind of talk about this. I just thought that I would kind of talk about this once again, because a lot of the times when there's a very close fight, or when it looks like there's about to be an upset, or when the underdog does a lot better than what is expected, many people like to claim robbery, but they don't know what the hell a robbery actually is. And once again, do I think the fight was a robbery? No. I thought Fury won by 1 round. If you argue that Ngannou won the fight, I don't really have a problem. But once again, you can't really call this fight a robbery, But we're going to talk about that. But anyways, CHAMPSIDE's going to speak. Let's get straight into it.
Tyson Fury looked absolutely terrible tonight against Francis Ngannou, and the world believes that Ngannou won and that he was robbed against Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia. They fought a 10-rounder.
Well, a lot of people, once again, don't know what to watch when they look at a sport or when they're watching boxing in general. That's why a lot of times, these guys, they love to always say about the world, thinks they were robbed and all this other bullshit. You can't go by what the majority of people say, because most people, first of all, are morons. And second of all, most people like to comment on shit that they don't know anything about. It just is what it is. I've been watching boxing now for about 11 years and MMA probably for a little bit shorter than that. But at the end of the day, I somewhat am a little bit educated on, at least when it comes to both of those sports. So you have to be educated, when it comes to talking about certain things like this. Like most people, when they talk about something, no offense, but most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about whenever it comes to a subject, especially when it comes to boxing.
Francis Ngannou, without a shadow of a doubt, held his own. He was never hurt in that fight. He didn't look too tired in that fight. Meanwhile, Tyson Fury...
Well, the reason why Ngannou didn't look too tired in that fight is because Fury could not impose his will. He could not impose his boxing skill set against that of Francis Ngannou. because he was a little bit too tentative in that fight. And you know what? I get it, because to be quite honest with you, it looked like him being off for about 11 months probably took a little bit of the toll. I'm not really one for that excuse. I probably won't use that thing as much, because to me, 11 months isn't really that bad. I've never been a fan of the, oh, he was off for 12 months excuse. If they're off for like 2 years or more, then I kind of get it. But I do think that that Fury, he probably was a bit rusty. And on top of that, I just don't think he took Francis Ngannou that seriously. There's some people in my comment section, of course, that are saying, oh, Tyson Fury is washed and, all this other stuff, and that Tyson Fury, that, he's not going to beat Usyk. I'm not quite sure if I'm quite convinced of that yet. I just think that he was a bit rusty, and I just don't think that he took Ngannou that seriously. But I could be wrong. We'll see. But I think that it was just a mix of everything. I think that Ngannou proved to be a little bit better than what Fury once imagined. I think that Fury was a bit rusty, and that he had a little bit of a problem, with Francis Ngannou. But it would be very exciting to see a rematch between these two guys. No doubt about it. I don't think it's going to happen next, because I think there's just too much on the line, with Usyk and Fury, but we'll see what happens.
Looked terrible. He was sloppy.
And the LDBC and new media, like I predicted, they're going to have a field day with this fight. They're going to have a field day, because this pretty much is the best possible thing that could have happened, overall with that. The best possible thing, of course, would have been that Francis Ngannou would have knocked out Tyson Fury or beat him. That was the best possible scenario. But this is pretty much the second best possible scenario, where Tyson Fury did not look good. Like I said, you're going to hear all the narratives. See, Tyson Fury isn't that great of a heavyweight. He never was. He just cheated with our brother Deontay Wilder. Like all this other shit. You're going to hear all these bullshit narratives. The thing is that Tyson Fury, he is, an all-time great heavyweight. He is a great heavyweight. He has proved that within his boxing career. But he certainly did have a stinker of a performance in this fight. It just is what it is.
He didn't set up any of his shots. He wasn't sharp at all.
I do agree with that. Tyson Fury did not set up his shots very well. He was throwing a certain amount of feints, but credit to Ngannou, it did not look like he was biting on a lot of those. I give Ngannou a lot of credit, and I think a part of the reason why is because he has so much confidence within his power that he did not believe that Fury was going to be able to knock him out just with one punch, and that was shown. I think there was probably a couple punches here and there that kind of took Francis aback and said, wow, he has a little bit of power as well. But there was never a time where I thought that Francis was close to being knocked down or that he was seriously hurt. So credit to Francis Ngannou.
It's like he didn't know how to set up any shots. He never...
I agree. Tyson, he tried with some feints, but they weren't all the time successful. And he should have tried a little bit more fakes as well. But there were some flaws in this fight, some of the very few flaws that Tyson Fury does have, that were exposed in this fight. Sometimes he does fight in a little bit too straightforward and too straight back. Sometimes he needs to move a little bit more laterally, as Timothy Bradley said. And sometimes also at times he keeps his hands down a little bit too low inside certain ranges, sometimes on the inside. So he has to be very careful with that. I think more than likely he'll improve it a little bit later on down the line. But, this is something certainly to learn from, especially if you're fighting Alexander Usyk.
Hurt Ngannou, and he kept getting rocked by Ngannou. Tyson Fury was tweaking in the ring, kept grabbing at his...
Well, let me state this, because if you listen to this video and and you don't know anything about boxing and you didn't watch the fight, the way that these guys describe certain fights, they say, oh, well, he kept getting rocked by that, of Francis Ngannou. He got knocked down in the 3rd round, and there was probably another time in the 8th round where Tyson Fury was rocked. Other than that, Tyson Fury was probably okay throughout the fight. I'm not saying that there wasn't certain punches that he, didn't feel or that possibly didn't slightly hurt him. But when you're talking about rocked, you're talking about nearly going to the canvas or, being buzzed. And Tyson Fury was never really buzzed other than that of the 3rd and 8th round.
Nose and wiping his nose. He just looked strange. He looked weird. They say he didn't prepare and all. Man, that's Tyson Fury's story, man. Okay, this man has... said that he's a god and that he's, an eternal king and he wears crowns and thrones and he comes to the ring with thrones and crowns and triple...
When has Tyson Fury ever claimed that he's a god? Now, Tyson Fury has claimed that he's a king, but Tyson Fury has never claimed that he's a god. If you wanna say someone that called themselves a god, that's your boy Deontay Wilder. who says all this narcissistic shit about I got the power of God in my hand and all this other shit. And, overall, don't miss my fight because it's going to be the best moment of your life, or all this other shit, about him being a god. That's Deontay Wilder. It's very particularly interesting when Deontay Wilder or someone of his complexion says something like that. These LDBC and pro-black channels, they have no problem with it. You go, brother, black excellence. But as soon as it comes to Tyson Fury, it's narcissistic behavior. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Robed and all of this stuff, but he fought like a peasant. He fought like a straight bum.
And that's the thing about the LDBC and the media. You cannot trust whatever narrative they have. Because if you have a logical sound mind, you can clearly see that a lot of these guys, that they're just envious victimization bitches. It just is what it is. That's just what they are. They're a pro-black cult, and they're going to focus a lot of the times of course, covering black fighters in a great way. And to be honest, I think that that's a great thing. But the problem that comes in is when they try to degrade certain other fighters, when they believe that they're a threat overall to that of certain black excellence fighters. That's why they tear down Canelo to such a degree, and Usyk, and Fury, excuse me, and Lomachenko, and Inoue, and other fighters like that.
I was shocked at how he couldn't get anything off. Ngannou had better defense. He couldn't touch Ngannou. It was like he was getting his shots parried.
Well, he was able to touch Ngannou enough to win the fight, but I understand what Mr. Champside is saying. It certainly was, for Fury's standards, a subpar performance, no doubt about it.
He couldn't be more physical with him.
And it was subpar in almost every way. Tyson Fury didn't look like he had the same conditioning, in my view. He certainly did not have, the as great of a skill set as what he probably needed in this fight to be dominant. He had just enough to win the fight, but he certainly, in my view, could have been more dominant. He could have had more fakes. He could have had more feints. He could have just been better all around.
Ngannou, and a lot of people said Champside. That's because Fury's finally fighting someone who weighs what he weighs, right? He couldn't push him around. He couldn't grab him.
And I'll tell you what, that might be a part of it because, to be fair, Tyson Fury, he's 6'9", 280 pounds with an 85-inch arm reach. A lot of the times when fighters, when they're very lengthy, when they're tall like that, and they can rely on their size and they can rely on their reach and their weight, a lot of the times certain deficiencies will show when they're against bigger fighters. Now, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to, count this against Fury too badly in the Ngannou fight because I've seen him perform very well against both Klitschko and Wilder. I just think that Fury is one of those guys that fights to the level of his competition. Fury is just, he's always been one of those guys. He looks phenomenal against the best of the best, but then against guys that he probably should look better against, like Otto Wallin, and a couple other guys in his career like Steve Cunningham, and Francis Ngannou. He doesn't look always the best. There's just certain fighters that are like that. Tyson is one of them.
He even threw an elbow at Ngannou in that fight when he missed the short right hand. He kind of kicked his elbow up to land an elbow.
Yeah, and I would have to see if that was on purpose or not. I would have to see the replay on that. But of course, I'm not really going to take anything from these guys because all these guys, they'll tell you anything, when it comes down to it, just to make sure it seems like Fury cheated and all sort of shit. But I will say this, if Fury did throw that elbow on purpose, that was a very low and cheap move for sure, no doubt about it.
And trust me, he doesn't want to do that with Ngannou, but I think they should do a rematch. And I think people will demand that. The whole world is weighing in on this. LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Rosie Perez, Joel Embiid, I saw. All of them say that there's no way Fury won that.
Yes, because we should trust celebrities, especially a lot of guys who don't know what the fuck they're talking about in boxing. We should allow them to dictate what's a robbery and what isn't. Absolutely. Were you guys doing that when it came to the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight? Were you doing that when a lot of celebrities were saying that Floyd just ran the whole night and that he should have lost to Pacquiao, all that sort of shit? Were you saying that shit? Once again, these guys, you can't take them seriously because they love to bitch, moan, and complain, about all the racial stereotypes and double standards that their fighters go through and that their people go through. And then they do the exact same shit to fighters that they don't like. So it is what it is. You think I'm going to give a fuck what Rosie Perez and LeBron James and Damian Lillard has to say? I don't give a fuck what they have to say. And most people in general, once again, are not meant to be logical analyzers. Most people are not intelligent enough to be logical analyzers because most people don't really do the research and the work and have the experience to talk about that profession. it is what it is. They just kind of watch a couple highlights, they watch a few videos, and then they think that they have the right to comment on that thing intelligently. But you're not going to comment on it intelligently because you don't know the full scope.
Ngannou was robbed, and so this is going to start a little bit of beef between MMA audiences.
And you know, I was looking at like Boxing Eagle, for example, and he was pulling up these guys like, you know, Nate Diaz, like, oh, Nate Diaz was claiming that it was a robbery. Like, you think I give a shit about what Nate Diaz has to say? That weed head, you know, that claims that, you know, every time he loses a fight that he gets robbed, all that bullshit. You think I give a fuck about what the Diaz brothers have to say? You know, or Joel Embiid, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, a dude who's from France's Ngannou's home country of Cameroon. You think I give a shit about what basketball players have to say about a boxing fight?
Is in boxing audiences, because I've already seen people talking about how, you know, guys get robbed in boxing. I guess they don't get robbed in the MMA, but of course it'll give boxing.
Well, no, at times there is robberies in MMA. Like if we're pulling up certain examples, in my personal view, I thought that Petr Yan versus Sugar Sean O'Malley was a robbery. If we're talking about another robbery that I can think of, Paddy Pimblett versus that one recent fighter that he just fought. And there's probably a couple others, you know, that I can't personally remember, but there's probably a couple other robberies. But in MMA, of course, it doesn't happen anywhere near as much as what it does in boxing.
A bad name to have a UFC fighter making their MMA debut and holding their own with the so-called heavyweight champion. And I tweeted several things like,
with the so-called heavyweight champion. What do you mean the so-called heavyweight champion? Tyson Fury is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. But once again, these guys can still not let go that their brother, Deontay Wilder, ended up getting his ass kicked, you know, when it came down to it. And so, once again, you're going to hear all the narratives come out about Tyson Fury right now. Because right now, Tyson Fury is at a low point. He had a very bad performance against an MMA fighter in a boxing match. You know, even though, of course, yeah, sure, Ngannou was dangerous. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. Fury should have definitely done better. You know, no doubt about it when it comes down to no excuse about that. At least no major excuse. But, you know, when it comes down to, you're going to hear all the narratives. Oh, Tyson Fury couldn't cheat this time around. The gloves were regular. You know, all this other bullshit. I've already seen comments about it. I predicted it, you know, when it came down to it. Oh, you know, Tyson Fury, when it came to, see, he's not a great heavyweight. You know, he's just a part of the right generation. He cheated against Deontay Wilder. He's not Ali. He's not any of those guys. And let me also state this. A lot of the times when it comes to older athletes, a lot of people love to idolize them, almost as if they're gods. So whenever you try to compare certain guys like that to older athletes, a lot of people, of course, get offended because they get in that fanboyism mentality. So like you, that's why you have a lot of people, and most people who watch respective sports, they really overall don't know what the fuck they're talking about in general. Even if they've been watching it for 20 some years, most people, you find out, if you have a logical and somewhat intelligent sound mind, when it comes down to it, you know, you realize that most people really have no idea what the fuck they're talking about whatsoever. Like, you could go to basketball, have a debate with Allen Iverson fans and people from the 2000s and say that Steph Curry is greater and better than Allen Iverson, and they'll look you dead in your face and tell you, fuck no. Allen Iverson was 10 times better than what Stephen Curry was. You know, they legit believe that. You know, if you ask certain people, you know, certain people will tell you that Max Holloway, you know, is a top 10 fighter of all time in MMA. I've already told people this. Max Holloway is one of the more overrated MMA champions in history. But that's a video for another day. When it comes down to it, you'll have certain people that'll tell you, you know, overall that Fury, that, you know, oh, he's not great. And another one that I always get is when I say that Canelo is greater than that of Oscar De La Hoya. I always get a lot of these people, you know, overall, that say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. De La Hoya was way greater than Canelo, all sorts of stuff. It's not even close. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Canelo Alvarez is a 4-weight division champion. He was undisputed in one weight class. He's won a dozen A-grade level fights in his career. And he's proved that he can beat the fighters almost no matter the size. Sure, he lost to Floyd and he lost to Dimitri Bivol, but he's beaten so many A-grade level names. And there's no offense against Oscar De La Hoya. He was an extraordinarily talented fighter. But, dude, it's like, outside of the 135-pound weight class, what big A-grade wins did De La Hoya really ever have in his career? You know, he was able to beat the guys that were clearly smaller than him, even though they were exceptional fighters like Chavez, and even though he was probably a bit older, a little bit more wore down, but still a great win. And Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, a lot of people thought he lost the fight. It was close though, but he lost to Felix Tito Trinidad. He lost to Sugar Shane Mosley. He lost to Floyd Mayweather. The thing is about Oscar is that once he started moving up the weight classes, he couldn't win any of those big A-grade fights. So that's why I'm sorry, but when you talk about it logically, yes, Canelo Alvarez is greater and more skilled than Oscar De La Hoya. Period. It is what it is, because the proof is in the pudding. Outside of 135, name me one big A-grade or A-plus level fight that Oscar was able to win. He wasn't able to win none of them. None of them. So it is what it is.
This can't be the guy that Wilder fought, right? Not possibly. What happened to all his destructive concussive power? What happened?
What is he alleging there? Once again, man, I already told you what these people overall were alleging. But the thing is also is that Ngannou, has a better jaw than Deontay Wilder. Who knows if he has more power than Deontay Wilder or not? I don't know. But also I think Fury was clearly way more prepared and took Wilder much more seriously. Tyson Fury took a look at Deontay Wilder as the biggest threat to his career. I think he thought that Francis Ngannou was pretty much going to be a stepping stone.
All that crunk punching power, right? When he fought Wilder, Wilder was bleeding from the ear. He had a dent in his head. He was swollen. He was bleeding everywhere. He couldn't take the shots type of thing. Then you see him fighting Ngannou. He can't land anything on Ngannou. When he does land, Ngannou just eats it. And again, we already know Wilder weighed in at Bridger weight, 212. When in the first...
He ain't weighing at no goddamn 212. Just stop. Deontay Wilder for the third fight weighed in at 230. And then the other one, I think he weighed at about 220, 225. But the reason why Deontay Wilder, in my view, doesn't get a major weight excuse is because, dude, you're 6'7" with an 83-inch arm reach, and you have a right hand that can knock anybody out. These guys were all on Deontay Wilder's dick and balls, when he was beating bums overall like Dominic Breazeale, and all these other guys, I can't even remember some of the fucking names on his resume when it comes down to it. Artur Spiltzka and all these other dudes who never stood a chance. And then the first time he gets in the ring with a guy of similar physical dimensions and a guy that can actually box, he gets his ass whooped on all three occasions.
Fury fight, and Fury just kept putting on more pounds. I'm going to come in 270, but this guy came in around the same thing. And Tyson Fury got cooked by an MMA fighter. Do y'all still think
No, he didn't get cooked by an MMA fighter, but he certainly had a subpar performance. The reason why, once again, I like to review these videos is because these dudes are so damn delusional. And it's important overall, once again, to nip these narratives in the bud, because you'll have a lot of people that will pretty much just listen to a video and run with it because they don't have the intelligence or they don't have the patience to watch the fight for themselves, and they may want a certain result to be true, so they probably aren't even going to watch the fight.
Tyson Fury is top 5 pound for pound? Are you still going to tell me that I need to have Tyson Fury on the pound for pound list?
Yes, Tyson Fury still is within my top 5 pound for pound. And certain people, of course, will disagree. But at the end of the day, Tyson Fury is still the best heavyweight in the world at the moment. He's beaten fighters like Wilder and Vladimir Klitschko and certain fighters like that. I understand that he had a subpar performance against that of an MMA fighter who still was very particularly dangerous. But once again, I'm not really going to go off of just one performance. Now, had he lost, then I understand.
What do you think Bud Crawford would do with Tyson Fury if he was 6'9", 270? What do you think Shakur Stevenson would do with Tyson Fury?
Right, but once again, that's a stupid-ass question. Because we could ask the same thing. Because a lot of people always want to pretend like certain fighters of old or comparing fighters of old, especially heavyweights, that they were just way more skilled, than Tyson Fury or certain fighters. And that's just not the case. When you take a look at Muhammad Ali, the dude lost to a 15-0 Leon Spinks, a dude that really wasn't even that great. Of course, a little bit older probably at that time, but he lost to a couple other fighters. In the Joe Frazier fight, he did not look to be this elite defensive fighter. At times, Ali could keep his hands down a little bit too low. At times, Ali could get hit a little bit too much. But because he was such a phenomenal athlete and a very intelligent fighter, he was a lot of the times able to get away with it. So once again, these guys will try to spew this bullshit about Tyson Fury. It's pretty much the perfect time, for them to strike while the iron is hot. But once again, to me, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, Tyson Fury had a very subpar performance, And let me tell you what, he did nearly lose to Francis Ngannou. But I don't think it's really that big of a deal because I don't think that it was really the best version of Tyson Fury. I think that he thought that Ngannou was going to be a lot simpler, but he figured wrong. And in the rematch, which it might happen, it'll be very interesting to see who would win that fight. I would bet on Tyson Fury to win probably by a little bit more of a domination, but we'll see.
6'9", 270. But like I said, that is why they throw crowns and thrones on him, because he has the privilege of cheating and robbing fights. He got caught using Nandrolone. He got caught with a detached thumb in one of his fights.
Yes, he got caught with a detached thumb, which I'm sure was going to be a major cheating scandal, and they replaced it. So it's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? These guys, once again, these guys cannot get over the fact that their Wakanda Black Panther King, Deontay Wilder, their god, overall when it comes down to it, their pro-black god, that he got knocked out and embarrassed basically 3 times. They can't get over that shit, and they never will. So they will never talk about Tyson Fury in a positive light. The only time they were ever talking about Fury in a positive light is when they thought Wilder was going to beat him, and they thought that they could juice up Tyson Fury just as another victim, but as the biggest name in Wilder's career. When that didn't happen, it all backfired, and they went sour.
One of his sparring partners caught him taking out padding in the glove. We all seen how he manipulated his glove, how he used his glove, and all of that slapping weird.
Yes, even though he did not manipulate his glove at all, if you know shit about boxing. But carry on.
Stuff, again, none of that stuff mattered. Tyson Fury lost tonight. Everybody knows he lost.
No, he didn't lose, but you're going to try to make it seem like he lost because you're a pro-black cult member when it comes down to it, and you don't like Tyson Fury, and now it's your time to strike to make people believe that he's not a great fighter. And like I said, this is what the LDBC and new media's narrative is. Don't get it twisted. Tyson Fury did not have a good performance against Francis Ngannou, but this is what they do with every fighter that is not a black fighter. They do it with Canelo. They do it with, Usyk, Lomachenko, Inoue, Canelo, especially the guys, Fury, all the guys that are a threat to the top pound-for-pound spots.
Even his fans know he lost. But I don't think anyone should be too upset or surprised because that's been his whole career. He gets away with everything because they need him.
It's interesting. I seen in the comment section overall where someone said that he should have lost 3 fights. I need to see what 3 fights Tyson Fury allegedly lost. The only fight that I can think of that he probably should have lost, I believe, was this one chubby Englishman earlier on in his day. At least this is the rumor that I hear, was Tyson Fury versus John McDermott or whatever the hell his name was. Every other fight Tyson Fury deserved to win in his career.
To be.
Including the first Deontay Wilder fight, which was one of the worst decisions, by the way, of the past 20 years.
That guy, they need him to be the king. They need, dare I say it, they need a hope. And Tyson Fury.
Right, so what is CHAMPSIDE basically alleging? They need a Caucasian fighter, overall to be at the top of the game. And that's why he gets away with everything in his career. Once again, these guys, you can tell just by watching, they're envious bitches. That's all they are.
Has been the epitome of that.
Once again, they say all this other shit about, they need these fighters, overall to be the great white hopes. If that's the case, why did Kovalev not get the decision over Andre Ward? Why did Tyson Fury not get the clearly deserved win that he deserved in the first Deontay Wilder fight? Why did Lomachenko not get the decision over Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney? Why do none of these decisions end up going to the Caucasian fighters? Why did Josh Taylor not get the decision over Teofimo Lopez? Once again, I don't mind alleging that certain Caucasian fighters get maybe special treatment by that of the media when it comes down to it because they have the complexion for the protection and that of fans. All that's understandable. But when you're trying to mention this shit about, these Caucasian fighters, they get the advantage by the referees and blah, 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 all that is a bunch of horse shit. Because when we take a look at it, on average, they don't get the advantage.
So, I don't think that anyone in boxing is surprised because we so used to this. And I told y'all before the fight, I know what should happen, but let's talk about what could happen. And what could happen did happen. Francis Ngannou held his own. Tyson Fury looked absolutely terrible. I don't care if he did prepare for it because he's always unprepared. That's what he does. Whether it's depression or his addiction, all of these things, he claims he's a...
Listen, at the end of the day, I do somewhat agree with it. I'm not going to go along with the excuse of, oh, well, Fury, you know, blah, blah, all this sort of stuff. Listen, if Tyson Fury did not train properly, that's his own doing. But listen, in my view, was Tyson Fury probably at his best form? Probably not. It just is what it is. I think that he underestimated him a little bit, and it is what it is. Tyson Fury has always been a guy that fights to the level of his competition. That's just who he is. And I don't think Fury expected Francis's power to be as powerful as what it was. Turned out it was.
God, and he claims he's a king and he's above every...
I need to see this video of Tyson Fury claiming that he's a god. If it's out there, someone let me know. Because I've never seen Tyson Fury claim that he's a god. I've seen Deontay Wilder claim that he's a god, or that he has godly-like traits, and this guy never appears to have a problem with it.
Mortal man, and everybody else is a peasant, but he struggled with his own stuff, right? And then he didn't look great. And
when has Tyson Fury ever said that everyone else is a peasant? Tyson Fury just believes overall that he is a king, that he is a conqueror, which he is of his own era, because he is the greatest heavyweight of his own era. But Deontay Wilder claims that he's a king and all this other stuff, and they never had a problem with it. You know, like, get the fuck out of here.
This fight, he got paid a lot of money. But I give credit to the Saudi Arabia and how they put on the kingdom and how they put on the fight. Great, you know what I mean? Presentation, beautiful presentation, lights, and...
It certainly was a great card. I thought that Saudi Arabia did a very good job as well. I thought that they had a lot of good fights on there. Joseph Parker versus that Australian dude, I believe. You know, they had David Adelaide versus Fabio, whatever the hell his name is, Wayne or whatever his name was. Very good fight. You know, and then I think they had another one, but I don't remember what it was.
You know, magic and colors and all of that stuff, and Lil Baby was there, and they invited every boxer you could think of out there.
Personally, I'm not a big fan of the performances and the song shit. I've never been a fan of that shit. I mean, I know they tried to impress, but people don't give a fuck about that shit, man. They just want to watch the fight.
So they went all out, man. It's just a shame that Tyson Fury didn't really turn up, and neither fighter was knocked out. So I know a lot of people...
It's just a shame that Tyson Fury didn't turn up, or it's a shame that he didn't lose. Let's be real, Mr. Champside. It's a shame that Tyson Fury didn't show up. You don't give a shit whether Tyson Fury would have lost this fight or not. You're just pissed off because Tyson Fury was very, 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 very close to losing, inches to losing, and it just didn't happen. So you're very bitter, just like you've been very bitter ever since your boy Deontay Wilder ended up getting knocked out 2 times in a row to that of Tyson Fury.
Had either Fury by knockout or Ngannou by knockout. So all the people that bet on knockout either way, they got cleaned out. Nobody had Fury by decision. So
I wouldn't have been surprised if Fury would have won by decision. I wouldn't have been surprised. That probably would have been my second outcome. But I did predict Fury to more than likely knock him out within about 8 rounds. Of course, that didn't happen. You know, and it was not because Fury was carrying Ngannou like he was Wilder in the 3rd fight. It was because he had a serious problem with him. I don't think that he prepared as much as what he probably could have for him. I think that he thought that he was going to be somewhat of a simplistic MMA striker. Turns out that whatever training that he did, and on top of that, the striking that he already had, and the power, it came in handy. So Fury, if he does a rematch in Ngannou, he's going to have to dot his I's and cross his T's. He's going to have to really be a decent amount better, you know, and he's going to have to be more disciplined. He's going to also have to fix on being, you know, a little bit more lateral in terms of his movement and, you know, not being sloppy on the inside at times. Sometimes he's very good on the inside. He can be very disciplined, but at times he also keeps his hands down a little bit too much. You know, I think that he can fix it more than likely because I've seen Fury at his best and, you know, he's all around a very great fighter. But, you know, he does have a couple faults that he certainly could work on.
Even more, people probably didn't have it a draw. But let me know, do y'all think this was a robbery? I don't know anyone who doesn't think it was a robbery, but, you know.
Well, then you're talking to the wrong people. Once again, you can't trust over what most people say. I got to ask Champside, you know, when it comes down to it. Do you believe, you know, did you talk to anyone that didn't think that Lomachenko versus Haney was a robbery? Because if you ask the majority of people, they think that Lomachenko versus Haney was a robbery. You know, but is Champside on here saying all in all that Lomachenko got robbed? Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Once again, you know, you got to apply the same standards to everyone else. These guys, they're very obnoxious because they always claim, about all this shit, that there's double standards against our fighters, blah, blah, blah. But then they put the same double standards on the fighters they don't like, So at the end of the day, not only are they victims and not only are they racially motivated, but they're hypocrites.
He's in Saudi Arabia, and this is boxing, and that can happen. So talk to me in the comments. It's the baddest brand in the land, CHAMPSIDE.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do much more discussion on this. But yes, I did have Tyson Fury winning the fight, I think by 1 point. It, of course, was not a good performance by that of Tyson Fury. But am I really convinced that his career is over at the current moment? Not really. I think he's probably got a few fights left in him. I had a couple people in my comment section saying that he's washed and that, he won't beat Usyk. I'm not really if I'm too convinced about that. I think Fury, once again, is a guy that fights to the level of his competition. I think that he will do better when it comes down to it, and I think he'll probably do better. But you never know. He is getting older. I don't know how old he is, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. We'll see where this goes. There could be a rematch. The fight that I would really love to see is Ngannou versus Wilder. That's a fight that I would really love to see. But of course, many people might want there to be an Ngannou versus Fury fight first. A rematch, which I certainly understand. But personally, I would love to see the Usyk versus Fury fight first. But of course, there's going to be a lot of negative narratives about Fury because now is the time to strike, because he did not have a very good performance against an MMA fighter. So they're going to be trying once again to put their agenda and their propaganda out there, as they always do. But that's the reason why I like to review these videos, is to kind of show you guys what they're about. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later, and we'll see where both these gentlemen go next.